We go ahead, as planned.
Come on, lads. Unload your rifles. Nothing up the spout. We're going in with the bayonet. No bullets. Unload. Nothing up the spout. We're going in with the bayonet. Steady, lads. Wait for it. Look your front.
Any more men out into that.
Come on, boys. Third wave, get up.
British cavalry advancing on the eastern flank.
They are not cavalry. They're Australian light horse.
Whoa! Wait until they dismount, then fire by order! 2,800 meters!
Allez, gale, prochain papa. Allez, à demain.
$2,600 meters! Meters. Hey! Who do you reckon shooting at us? The Turks or the silly bloody Poms?
çabuk.
Hemen ikişer sıraya geçin. Daha cephane getir. Topçular ne yapıyor? Onları merak etme, önüne bak, önüne bak.
Set your sights. 1600 meters. Set your sights. 1600 meters.
What is happening?
Your clever little illusion has reached Beersheba.
But what are you doing?
The only sane thing. I am surviving. Damn you to hell!
I was wondering, the Anzac legend, the values from men from a bygone era. How, if at all, are the Anzac values relevant in a society today which has undergone so much social change?
Jermaine Greer, the Anzac legend reflects the values of men from a bygone era. Is there something relevant today?
This is such a difficult question because what happened at Anzac was that an Australian force was involved in somebody else's war as usual and was defeated with enormous loss of life and enormous rates of injury. We assume that the people involved were brave, that they were cooperative, that there were all kinds of things, when the only thing that history tells us is that they were badly commanded and the strategy was a complete
to the question,
mistake.
which is actually about whether Anzac values are actually relevant in today's society. Can I bring you to that one?
Oh, of course, yeah, and all that Jermaine said about we invaded Turkey, we got beaten and all the rest, and with great loss of life, and there was incompetence on the battlefield and all the rest. Australians are smart enough to understand all that. There is not one modern political judgment or uttered by an Australian which says, oh, it was some glorious victory, it was in to a wonderful plan, etc. People understand that we went to Turkey to fight for reasons which were held to be valid at the time, and it was what our people did, what they displayed, their innate qualities, the way they hung together under extraordinary and for them quite unusual violence. There was no real war experience in this country, so all those young men discovered the hardest way possible what it meant to be involved in a war.
But at a broader level, if I can interrupt you there, I mean, the Prime Minister at the time, Billy Hughes, actually talked about the sweet, purifying breath of self-sacrifice. It's not something you'd probably see in today's society if a number of people had thrown themselves against bayonets or machine guns.
Yeah, there's a jingoistic rhetoric of the time. It came out of the Victorian era, it infected all the democracies and no doubt some of the totalitarian regimes that you would just sort of immolate yourself on the battlefield. Rubbish, of course, but Australians were, as I suppose, prone to that sort of rhetoric as anybody else in those days.
Let's go to Henry Reynolds.
Yes, I thought your question was very good, and I don't think we've quite answered it. But I think it is a very interesting point. After all, we're talking about a group of men in totally unique circumstances. It was a society of all men, much the same age, who'd been away from their homes for a very long time. They had no sort of family responsibilities. They lived under military discipline. And their reaction seems therefore to be difficult to apply to the rest of society, which is very, very different. There's also the question of mateship. Now, there is absolutely no doubt that mateship was important. But where we go wrong is that we assume this was a uniquely Australian characteristic. Now, if there's one common theme in the histories of the First World War, it is that what kept armies together was the loyalty that men had to each other, mateship or comradeship. That is, it was common right across the armies in that period. It wasn't uniquely Australian. So I think to try and extract from it attitudes and values which are necessarily important today is taking a very, very big leap, and I think therefore it was a very good question.
Peter Fitzsimons.
I go back to the wonderful words of Chester Wilmot, who was the great documenter of the Second World War, much of the Second World War in Tobruk, and I can't do justice to the eloquence of his words, but he talked about Tobruk, and it goes back to Gallipoli. He said, the spirit that has made Australia is the spirit that has won Tobruk. It's the spirit that make men go out and fight with each other against bushfires, that go against the drought, and this spirit has gone up against the Germans, and it's won there. And I think it goes back to, in the 100 years, in the 120, 30 years leading up to Gallipoli, we had all these innate values. In Gallipoli, we saw them for the first time in the public domain. Everybody looks at them. We did very well. Go, that is fantastic. That is something that is worth glorifying. It's not saying it was unique to Australia, but it's certainly something that is worth, not glorifying is not the right word, it's worth celebrating is a better word.
Alison Cray, what values do you see from the Anzac period would be relevant today?
Well, I guess, Tony, what I think we see today are the same sorts of things that we saw and would have been seen by the soldiers in Gallipoli. Mateship, courage, pride, sacrifice, teamwork, all those sorts of things. I've been serving in the Australian Army now for 25 years, and I have to say that the men and women that serve in the Australian Defence Force today show all of those qualities. So, and I see it in our community, I see it in the spirit after the Victorian bushfires, all those sorts of things. So when you talk about is it relevant to take those sorts of values out of World War I and apply them today, I think it's right for Australia. I think we're comfortable with it, and I genuinely think that that the people of today show many, many, many qualities and values that we saw on the battlefields in World War I.
And so Tony,